Since the new update has come, melee weapons have gone a huge glow up, and there's a solid amount of intricacy and complexity with it, which the tutorial unfortunately doesn't cover. So I'll be trying to cover everything you need to know about melee weapons. Let's go. Melee weapons are weapons which you melee. These are weapons which excel at close quarters combat and cannot be used for range. They do not consume any energy and do not need to be reloaded. From what I can tell you, you can essentially split melee weapons into 7 groups, each having unique animations and finishes. The Great Sword though has actual unique animations, but uses the sword finisher. Said finishers can be done when someone has a yellow daze effect via lowering HP due to melee hits or by parrying. All melee weapons apart from a couple are able to do a slam AoE move. This is done via being in the air, holding space and clicking. This is good against clusters of enemies. A good chunk of mythical red melee weapons have special abilities or properties. The abilities can be used by pressing R, although ranged weapons can actually melee by pressing F. The damage done is actually universal between all ranged weapons and positively correlates with the level of the weapon, weirdly enough. For example, all level 1 ranged weapons do exactly 17 damage with the melee. Meanwhile, all level 15 ranged melee weapons do 278,528 damage each. I don't know what you do with that info, but hey, neat. Enough about ranged weapons. Melees have a lot more unique traits. First of all, when holding a melee weapon, your stance changes and forces you to run. You cannot walk and still have to run at all times unless you crouch. However, this is not the same as if you're holding shift with ranged weapons. That's right, the run stance of the melee weapon is actually slower by roughly 13% compared to shift sprinting with range for some unannounced reason. But you are actually able to reach the same speed if you're holding shift with melee, and this allows you to slide. So if you want to go as quick as you can, shift sprint with either weapon type and do not just sprint with melee. Also, you can actually tell if you're shift sprinting as the sounds your footsteps make changes, and your character with certain melee weapons will hold it differently. Now into the big new mechanism of guarding. By locking your avatar with controller and holding right click with melee allows you to guard. You can tell you're guarding as a small shield pops up and a white bar appears on the right. When guarding, there is no speed penalty. This is your guard health, allowing you to predict a certain amount of damage from bullets and prevents you from being stunned as long as you're guarding. This slowly depletes as you get shot or meleeed until it's finished, which you take normal damage. It goes into a cooldown as a red bar before becoming active again. This shield have actually constantly heals throughout even when getting hit, so if someone's doing too little damage to you, you can guard forever. Hello, just want to say if you've been enjoying it, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe. Right, that's it, bye. The shield health is the same for weapons and even their levels. There is no difference between a level 1 Link Swords guard and one of level 5. The amount of guard health it actually gives, well, it's hard to exactly tell you the constant regenerating, but considering the MG42 does exactly 10 damage and it requires 12 hits to break, we can roughly estimate to give 120 health. Furthermore, if you have a shield equip and then equip your melee and then guard, the melee's guard will be used first and then the shield. You can see this more clearly on the used shield bar. Shields have a yellow bar, and once a shield's yellow bar fully depletes, the shield gets destroyed. There are weapons which bypass this guard completely, however, such as the RPG, flamethrower and shotguns. Weirdly enough, melee guard does actually take 1 crit hit from any gun, which does over 120 damage. Don't really get about, yeah. Parrying. This was explained pretty well in the tutorial, but basically timing your right click when an enemy is about to attack, when holding a melee or a shield causes them to stagger, allowing you to get 3 hits. However, there is an actual alternative version of this parrying. Remember how I told you RPGs, flamethrowers can bypass guard? Pause. Okay, before you get into the rest of it, I just learned right now that RPG you can parry them somehow through a bug. Makes sense. RPG you cannot roll, you can only parry somehow. And shotgun you cannot roll, you can only parry a bit. Okay. Well, if you time your right click against these weapons, your avatar will roll, giving invincibility frames. This prevents any damage. This can be used against sprinters run in a square shape ability as well to not take damage. And last for all, certain throwable weapons can be used when equipping a melee. A small UI nib The energy bar expresses how many times you're going to throw it before going into cooldown. This is done by pressing G. And this is everything you need to know about melee weapons, I think. If there's anything I got wrong or extra info, comment down below. Shout out to BAUTEX, Doned and Diego for helping out with this video. I can't thank them enough.